everybody. It's Rob and Carla with another Super Talk. And I think this one is one that I've been waiting for lots of different reasons.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Batman v Superman Ultimate Cut.
The extended version.
The extended version. Initial thoughts, Carla?
I really like it. I like the first movie, the theatrical version, and I really like this a lot more. Didn't seem like 3 hours. I think this was better than the theatrical version because it made a lot more sense.
I agree completely. Initial thoughts for me are I love this movie a lot. I'm kind of going through it. I'm going through the extended cut version a second time right now. I'm almost to the end of it, and it just keeps getting better. I think that's something that I found with a lot of Zack Snyder's movies, that they've got a rewatchability factor that is, at least for me, a lot higher than other movies. Like lots of his movies I like watching over and over again. I'm a huge fan of his movies, of his style. I love how serious he takes this, how he's willing to take risks, that you can tell that the project itself is important to him. And it's more than about making money to him, is what I get, is like he's interested in servicing these characters. And I just loved it. And I love this Ultimate Cut even more. One of the number one biggest reason that I love this Ultimate Cut more than the theatrical version is Superman. Because we get more Superman, we get to know Superman a little bit better, we get to feel for Superman more. And I think in this Ultimate Cut, it hit a lot of the pain that he's going through is a lot more apparent, and we get to know him and care about Superman much more so by the end of the movie.
I think that's the case also with Bruce Wayne, because actually in the first scene that's also being extended, where he's talking to I'm not sure who he is, but he works in Bruce Wayne company.
Well, did that have extra?
Yeah, that had a lot of extra, because in the theatrical version you just see how he talked to this guy like once, and then you see like how he's arriving in this new one. Like he was at his house, and then when he knows about this and he knows that his building is going to get hit, like he runs to try to go get his employees. And that's where lots of the scenes, like for example, there was also in that scene like a little girl that was just like
she was lost and had to get pushed back into line by Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, exactly. In the first one, I was wondering like why is this little girl hanging hanging around there? And then you saw in this one like there was actually like some kind of like children tour, because there was lots of children, and just tiny bits like that are in the movie that just make a lot more sense.
Everything makes more sense with this, and I do wish I was asking myself, maybe I can ask you, if it would have made a difference to how people reacted to the first one if this one had been the one released in the theaters. And I think to a degree it would. I still think that this movie wasn't what a lot of people were looking for. It was what I was looking for. I love it when characters I care about are taken seriously, and that's what I think Zack Snyder does, and I think that's what happened with Batman in the last movies. I think that's what made it great. It was Christopher Nolan kind of set the bar for, hey, this is what happens when you take superheroes seriously, and we give like a real world depiction. And I think this is kind of a continuation of that, but done in a more, well, I think, like I told you, Zack Snyder, what he does is like, it's like more than real, you know, like Christopher Nolan. And I know you haven't seen the Christopher Nolan movies in a while, but he explored Batman as if it were real, I think much more than Tim Burton did. And Snyder explores Batman and that universe in a little bit more than real, like things that could be real, but are still a little bit outside of our experience. Where Nolan's Batman was still kind of much more based in our current understanding of the world. I think this is a new world that Snyder's exploring, and I love it. And I love the modern take on Superman. I think that, like, seeing these movies, they stay way more true to the comic books, and you can see the comic book inspiration in Snyder's movies much more than any other DC movie, any other Superman or Batman movie.
But yeah, I can, like, even though I haven't watched those movies in a while, I can see what you're talking about, like the previous Batman movies. Not the last one, but where Jack Nicholson was the Joker, Arnold Schwarzenegger, yeah.
Keaton. Yeah.
Those were like a little more, seemed to me like more cartoonish. Like I don't know, I'm not sure about what the word is, but yeah, like this Batman versus Superman seems more real. Seems like it actually is happening in our real current world. And about your question, if they would have released this version instead of the other one, I think it would have made a difference, because like I saw some of the reviews and some of the, like, they were mocking the movie, and like they were actually, like, the reason they were mocking the movie, some of them were actually explained here. Like, for example, I didn't understand why why the photographer was in the CIA, like, wasn't it Lois Lane, like, partner? And yeah, in this extended version, like, they explained that they changed photographers.
So I just think I understand, and that's, yeah, again, there's a lot more explained in this new one, and it has that rewatchability factor. Like, now that I'm seeing it for the second time, I feel like I'm understanding more and more, and I like that. It's complex enough for me to want to watch it again, to kind of like investigate more and understand more of this plot, which was obviously like really thought out. I mean, this is like a complex plot, which I appreciate. You know, it's not so simple that it becomes boring or not thought out enough to be appreciated. You know, and if people point out, oh, like, how come this didn't happen? How come this didn't happen? Maybe there's things that could have been paid more attention to, but I think there's enough attention paid to what they did do with it that it's thick and rich and full of story to delve into and to ponder. And it's detailed. It's detailed visually. It's detailed with the plot. The characterization of Superman and Batman is very detailed. I mean, like Ben Affleck's Batman, to me, is hands down the best Batman ever, and I think, again, it has to do with Snyder's appreciation of the source material.
Yeah,
he looks like Batman. He acts like Batman.
Yeah, I was going to say that he actually acts like Batman. Like, I didn't like him at all. Like, I was like, oh my god, he's so annoying. But that's what Batman is. Like, for me, like, I've seen him, like, even in the cartoon, for me, it's annoying. Like, come on, just smile.
You don't like that he's brooding and moody.
Yeah, I don't like that. And Ben Affleck does that really well. So yeah, I really like Ben Affleck as Batman, because he portrays him as he is.
And there's a subtlety to it too, like, as you know, the different aspects of Bruce Wayne's personality came out when he faked kind of like the tipsy playboy in one part, and then in another part how he's kind of like cocky and sarcastic towards Clark Kent when they meet. You know, I loved that. That was something that we hadn't seen before with Batman, and I really appreciate that. And I don't think anybody's given Superman enough credit in this movie. I love this modern take on Superman. I love that this is not a Christopher Reeve Superman, although I did love Christopher Reeve as Superman. She hasn't seen those movies. So.
No.
But I like this. I don't. You could call it a modern take. I would just call it taking it seriously. Like if this were real, how would it play out? You know, like if there was somebody that had this type of power and showed up on this planet, like what kind of things would happen? And I think this is a really well thought out story of asking those kinds of questions. You know, I really love, and I love. I mean, again, he strives for that real world stuff. They keep bringing in. You notice how many little cameos right throughout the movie of like Jon Stewart and DeGrasse Tyson.
Yeah.
He has a Neil deGrasse Tyson. That give it that, and not to mention that like just the acting. I love good acting, and I love it when people take things seriously. Like Holly Hunter's character was so believable to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? She seemed so authentic, and it made the scenes that she was in really impactful. Like it just kind of hits you.
Yeah.
Know? Like, and I've seen it a few times now. I think 4 times, and it's hit a lot of her scenes. It hit me every time. And in this new extended cut, Luthor's you see the outline for his plan has so much more to do with than it's not just destroying Superman. It's so much more complex and thought out than that, and I love how they reveal it to us.
And you could, I think, in this extended version, you could see how he's not like, he did Doomsday, but he's like, I think by itself, it's working on something else. The ship.
Oh well, he uses the programs in the ship to learn about a much greater situation that's going on that we'll be finding out more about in Justice League. You're talking about the scene with Steppenwolf, and he's got where Lex gets arrested.
Yeah, exactly.
They find him in the ship, and that was a scene that they showed us online.
That shows you that like he's not done. Like it wasn't only Doomsday, but there's a lot more things coming out with that ship and with that power.
And so lots of clues about Justice League in there. I'd say that like I appreciate and like this movie so much. It's in danger of becoming my favorite movie. I don't want to say that it is right now because I want to step away from it for a little while and see how I feel about it in like a couple weeks. My current favorite movie has been Conan the Barbarian, like all time, and this might, I don't know, I'm really into this movie right now, so I'm gonna like back off from it, and then I'll decide later. But I part of me wants to say that I think people were wrong who judged this movie too quickly, and I think maybe there is a lot of people who were wrong out there, and they were kind of too easily influenced by what people were saying about it. But at the same time, I think there's people that wanted something different with a Batman Superman movie. This is what I wanted with a Batman Superman movie. I wanted a new story that I hadn't heard before. It kept me interested in it, where the characters are being honored, and has a lot of beauty and philosophy and poetry, something taken seriously with honor, and like this is exactly what I would want with a Batman Superman movie. I guess there is part of me that I can't let go of the fact that Bryan Cranston was attached to Lex Luthor at one point. Like I do like Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. He's a completely new Lex Luthor for me, but I'm wondering if he's actually a little bit closer to how Lex Luthor was in the early comic books, where he's like more of a mad scientist.
Yeah.
Because for like a long time, Luthor is a businessman guy, and he actually becomes president in the comic books and the cartoon. But you know, when he first was shown in the early comics, and I believe the cartoons, like in the 40s, that he was more like a mad scientist type character, and maybe Luthor somehow is able to assume that more businessman type persona in future films.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think this Lex Luthor, I really like Jesse Eisenberg in the other movies. He always plays.
An interesting character.
No, I don't want to say interesting, but he's always. I don't want to say a bad word, but you know, like in when he played Zack Zuckerberg on Facebook, and Now You See Me, he always has this cocky and arrogant attitude in his roles, and it was
Not
like
in Zombieland.
oh yeah, kind of.
He wasn't cocky.
He was
Zombieland.
like
He
somewhat
was
he was like
an outsider.
arrogant.
He was an outsider.
He was the one who
nerd.
knew the rules, so he was like, oh,
Yeah, but he was still nerdy.
kinda.
Kind of shy, I thought.
Yeah, well, he's not like physically. He doesn't look anything like Lex Luthor. But that's okay. Like we have to be open to change. And also something else that I remember is that, and people like really love to criticize this part of Batman versus Superman. Like they're saying like, hey, like how Ben Affleck let go of Superman because he started saying the name Martha of his mom. Mm-hmm. And yeah, lots of people were like, oh, that's dumb. How come, like, just because someone says the name of your mom, you don't stop, blah, blah, blah. But, and I'm going to say something that it's not pretty or whatever, but yeah, try, like if your mom is dead and someone names her for whatever reason, you would stop doing whatever you're doing. Just believe me in this one. So I think maybe the approach wasn't, I don't know, like I know this, but like the approach wasn't very, like not all people would understand because probably most of the people have their parents alive, the younger ones, but
maybe
I don't know.
are afraid to like feel, and automatically they put like a shield up, and they want to judge something that might be, oh, Batman has feelings. Maybe that's too much of a departure for, maybe they just need a Batman who's always tough and into justice. But we had to see Batman in a lot of different ways in this movie that wasn't so ideal, and this shook him up, and it should have, you know. And I loved that part. I never realized that. I mean, I know the story of Superman and Batman, but it never really clicked with me that their moms had the same name.
Yeah,
I thought that was great. And people rip on that. I guess all I can say is I wish they wouldn't, because it is such a great component, and it like made me really, I thought it was so well done. I just really liked that part of the movie.
Good.
You did too?
Yeah.
We gotta talk about Wonder Woman.
Yes.
A little bit.
Well, I like her. I don't think she has like a big part in it. I like how she looks. But yeah, I like her.
Great.
Like I don't think
she looks so much like Wonder Woman. She has a small part in this movie, but enough to really enjoy that, I think.
Yeah.
I loved her interaction with Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
I loved her fighting with Doomsday.
Right.
A lot. she was the only one that could fight with Doomsday just like Superman. Like I think Batman.
I think he couldn't. Like he did his best.
He did something. He like shot something at him, or I remember. Yeah, he tried, but it wasn't. And that's how it would be. I mean, like with a huge.
Well, he made the kryptonite.
Yeah. He stole it from Luthor and got the lance. Right? No,
maybe
he participated.
Maybe if you wouldn't have wasted it on Superman, but okay.
Right. Yeah, there was a lot of losing of kryptonite and finding it. But I don't have a. Oh, I guess if I was going to say downside, I don't like the way that Jimmy Olsen was kind of used up for one part. I think he's a big enough part of the Superman mythos that he should have been given more of an opportunity to become a character in that universe. They kind of used him up pretty quick. Other than that, I don't really have. I guess, and then people point out, I was like, how did Clark Kent not know who Bruce Wayne was? You know, and that guy had to point out to Clark Kent who Bruce Wayne was. I'm kind of thinking, like, maybe Clark Kent was aware of Bruce Wayne but didn't pay attention to what he looked like.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because Clark Kent is paying attention to about a billion other things.
Yeah, when you can hear whatever is happening around you.
He probably knew about Bruce Wayne but didn't know what he looked like. So that's why he said, "Who's that?"
Yeah.
That's my guess. You know, like you can't expect him to be completely present all the time when he's like hears about an explosion in Mexico and has to leave. You know,
right.
Like you could have to go anywhere at a drop of a moment.
When you have super hearing and you are hearing all that's around.
But you just have to like kind of shoot. Well, like we found out in Man of Steel.
Oh yeah, you're right. He has to focus
and choose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe he's not choosing to focus on things that don't have to do with disasters or criminals. So that's why he wasn't focusing on Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Until he figured out more about Bruce. But couldn't recommend it more. I would not. I guess there's enough violence in this one where it probably would be hard for kids to see some of it. I think there's enough headshots.
Oh, yeah.
But like, aside from that, I don't see any other reason why it would really need to be R. Or they drop an F-bomb once. But this definitely would be the version I would recommend. I don't ever want to see the theatrical version again when this is around. I loved the theatrical version because there's enough great film to be loved even if you don't see it in its entirety. But this is much better, and it's definitely one of my top superhero movies of all time. Could be my favorite movie of all time. So I think over time, a greater number of people will come to appreciate it.
Yeah, sometimes that happens.
That happens to a lot of movies. So, thanks for cluing in. Couldn't recommend this movie more. I'm giving it a 10 out of 10 because there's nothing in there that I could complain about enough to take off any points from that. What are you giving it?
I'm giving it a 9.
Okay.
Just because my 10s are too difficult.
My 10s are difficult too. It just so happens I just really like everything we review. Maybe if we reviewed other things that I didn't like as much. But like, check out our links below if you want to see links to my artwork. Give us a thumbs up. That'd be nice. Subscribe. And clue in again with us next week. We don't know what we're doing yet, but we will have another review.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.